So Jesse, today we're going to be talking about NXT TakeOver Orlando, which comes up before WrestleMania, and it's always good to watch these pay-per-views of NXT because the talent is good, but more importantly, I feel the crowd really adds to the atmosphere of the entire pay-per-view by being so into everything that even if you get like a couple of kind of matches, the crowd will really make up for it in terms of their intensity. Um, and I def
Or they'll chant "Holy shit" when they really shouldn't.
and in that case, they're getting them
You gotta
ready.
take the good with the bad, I suppose. So.
Yeah, they're getting the talent ready for when they finally get up to the main roster in that sort of sense. Um,
Right.
so our first match, and I think that'll be the one that will probably be the weakest of the night. We might be of a different opinion of this, but Sanity versus Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10, Ruby Riott, Roderick Strong, and Cassius. Oh no!
Oh
Oh
yes, the
no!
pre-show match as it is.
Yeah, well, that's what it felt like. It's just like, I don't care. And we get that Cassius Ohno was a replacement for No Way Jose, but it's just, eh. Uh, so, I mean, Nikki Cross
Got a cool
tags
theme.
out of the match for Alexander Wolf. So even though the women both started, it was a quick tag out, and which caused Cassius Ohno to come in looking quite strong. He seemed to be booked in a. They might be trying to push him or trying to make him at least considered a threat to most of the people on the roster. But yeah, he was able to stop Alexander Wolf. So Wolf decided to attack him. He's like, okay, in comes Eric. Eric Young decides to come in and fight his battle for him, even though they're supposed to be all crazy. And we get a little bit of mayhem, which leaves Killian Dane and Roderick Strong as the legal men. And Roderick Strong gets almost no reaction from me. I mean, I get that he is a former Ring of Honor superstar. He's like very popular amongst the crowd, and he's got a good ability. Don't get me wrong. And when I watch him in the ring, I can be like, okay, he can at least work. But just nothing there, honestly. Just a good worker, no personality.
You need more than talent to be a superstar.
And that, as sad as that is, it's like you do need to be have at least a couple of things to your name. You can't be all talent but no charisma, and you can't be all charisma but no talent, unless.
That's why Bret Hart is always overshadowed by Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. It's just you need a combination of both as a wrestler. But anyway, we get a couple of great kicks from Roderick Strong, and the match continues, and we get Eric Young versus Roderick, who comes in. It's weird seeing EY in this sense. I know we brought this up before, but him being this crazy heel that doesn't really speak or doesn't even.
Yeah, it's hard to see him as a heel. I don't know. I still see him as, oh yeah, it's EY.
So I
This
mean,
weird smoker's voice.
which brings me to Mr. Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10. I still do not like this guy, and for the life of me, I don't understand why he's so fucking over in NXT. Like,
Oh, it's because he thinks he's cool, and that makes everyone else think he's cool.
it perfectly resonates with the NXT crowd then, because
Yeah,
they think
they're
they're
just
cool.
constantly upping stuff. It's like, oh man, we're top shit.
Oh, we're in the know. We're the secret cool club of wrestlers. Yeah, people think they know what wrestling is, but down here in NXT, we're the people that actually know.
What's AAA? Sorry.
So anyway, the thing that really annoyed me though is like they were pushing the Perfect 10 like so much because he comes in and just fucking cleaned the house and just like removed everyone from the ring. And I mean, it took when he was outside Killian to sort of like just fucking. I think it was Killian just fucking stomp him in the head and stop the whole onslaught. And like Cassius came out in the ring, and everyone was out on the floor essentially. And that's something I noticed with this match. There was a lot of outside, like where everyone would just be there, because I think as you mentioned during the match, because they have the mixed tag team, everyone had to sort of like take a sidestep back while the women went in there, and it would just be like, okay, we're all out here now. We're doing our own thing, and then the women would be doing their own thing. And it had this like very sort of strange situation where the men would almost be doing a completely different match from the women. And yeah, it didn't really sort of, for a mixed tag team, it didn't really mix. we got Cassius still looking strong though, and while Nikki and Ruby continued to brawl, Ty attempted this pin which got interrupted, and I noticed that once again, out of all the people in the match, aside from Ty Dillinger, it seemed like Roderick Strong got the most chance, and Sanity, either through being heels or just not being over, got almost no reaction. Like, they got, don't get me wrong, they got a couple of boos and stuff like that, but it was just like...
I feel like Sanity's their entire gimmick is just their outfit.
Yeah.
Because, like, they wrestle like a fucking golden era heel team.
Yeah.
Doesn't really fit the whole we're insane gimmick.
And I think he made the comment that it's just like, they're Decay, but somehow Decay is doing it better.
Well, yeah, if you're the original, you usually do it better.
So anyway, like, Ty gets Killian on his shoulder, and he receives a kick to the head from Alexander Wolf, and gets hit by, like, Killian's finisher for the pin, which, once again, leaves people saying that Sanity is the most dominant faction.
Sanity's for the weak.
I guess, because, I mean, we're going to be getting a new faction to rise up against them, I guess, because they're saying, oh, who can stop this strong faction? And I don't really see one particular person coming in and being like, oh, I'm like, unless it's like fucking Goldberg goes down to NXT and is like, but I don't see that happening.
Has a handicap match against all of them.
But we did, I don't know, I didn't really think much of that match.
No, I didn't mind the wrestling of whatever the heel team's called.
Sanity?
Yeah, Generico. I didn't mind their wrestling. I liked it. It reminded me of the old style of wrestling, which I appreciate. I don't mind the whole, like, keep them in the corner and box them out and cut in the ring and have fucking, I don't know, I like that sort of thing. But the fucking, I didn't get anything from the other team at all, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's like the, as you were saying, like the face team, it's like, I don't like Ty Dillinger, I could give less of a fuck about Ruby Riott, I don't care about Roderick Strong, and I just, when it comes to Cassius Ohno, it's just like, I like his theme.
Yeah, his song's cool, that's about it.
Yeah, and it's like, he looks like he can go, but I need more time, and I know he's been there before, but he'll have to do a little bit more, because he's not going to get over as just Chris Hero to me. This is him as Cassius Ohno. We then got Andrade Cien Almas versus Aleister Black. Now, we saw Aleister Black in the United Kingdom Championship tournament, and he lost to Neville, so it was weird that it's like, okay.
I mean, who can win to Neville? I mean,
not even Austin Aries. Or
I mean, he's a commentator, man.
It's true.
What do you expect?
But Aleister Black, his entrance was cool, where it's like the, he comes on the slab, like the Frankenstein slab, and it just rises.
Gets raised up and shit, yeah.
That's
doesn't
cool.
really match with his background gimmick, but like I like the visual.
Definitely. I think he's got a lot of work on him, and they clearly have plans for this guy because he has his own unique Titantron and everything. So I think we made the joke that, continuing with our joke that's been advancing throughout time, he is this generation's Baron Corbin.
Yeah, or this generation's last generation's Undertaker.
And I'm going to always leave that up to you to say, because I'm like, I have no idea.
I'm going to start taking notes soon, then.
Yeah, fuck, man. When I play this back and start editing it a bit, I'm just going to have to write it down, just so I always have it on, like, a post-it note. But anyway, Aleister Black and Andrade Cien Almas trade a series of moves, and they do this whole lock-up situation, and they're back and forth, and Aleister does this sick jump off the middle rope to the middle of the ring where he just sits cross-legged. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. And definitely for, like, his debut match in NXT, it's got the crowd, like, knowing that he can do what he claims to do when he's like, I'm going to be a threat. You can at least see that he's going to be a threat in the wrestling capacity as well as
basically Azrael.
Basically Azrael. He's got the fucking program in him. We don't know what he's going to do. He could be like some sort of crusader. We don't know. But anyway,
it's going to build train systems. It's going to be great.
train system under all the NXT arenas so he can go to
Oh
and
man,
from
to
them.
get that fast, it's gonna be amazing.
So the match continued, and Cien hit a nice drop kick into a pin attempt for 2, and this caused, I don't know, throughout the match I did notice that their timing was a little off with each other, and I'm not sure if that was because Cien does use the Lucha Libre style, but there was a couple of moves where I was like, could be cleaner. It could at the same time since it's Aleister Black's debut in NXT, he might just be getting used to the style of WWE wrestling.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm willing to forgive him since it's his debut match. We get Black. He palmed Cien out of the ring, and then did a moonsault. A moonsault from the top turnbuckle, which into the outside of the ring too. I was like, okay, this dude's got balls to do that. I mean, that could go wrong really easily. And then Cien did a nice armbar. He was going for the armbar submission. Didn't exactly pay off. And later on, we get him trying to do this running move into the corner, but Aleister rolled out of it. And, we get a pin attempt from both of them, and it leads to both of them falling down and essentially having this stalemate of skill, if you will. So even though he's debuting and he's meant to be this dark figure, one of those brooding characters, they're not going to just give him this win super easily. They don't want to bury Andrade Cien Almas. So it's just like, I liked that, at least that, and especially because Almas, he's really good in the ring normally, his style is interesting and fun to watch, and just some of the things he does are on the ropes. It shows that he's got this skill about him that I'm glad that they're not just going to put him to the side for this new guy.
I feel like Black's gimmick is strong enough that they can spend the match concentrating on showing off his talent rather than his gimmick, which is probably why they had it so fair, I think.
And Cien did this suplex for a count of 2, and I remember you saying that it's good to see one of those crisp suplexes done, unlike when we'd watch on the.
After seeing fucking any Brock Lesnar match, it's like, oh wow, that's actually do a suplex right there.
Yeah, and we get Aleister to then hit a knee into Cien. He lifts him up and does the black mass with his foot. Maybe it's just the angle, maybe it's just the way he executed, but the black mass looked kind of underwhelming in this capacity. Could be me, but the finishing move wasn't. I was looking for a bit more of an exclamation point to end the match. But anyway, it was a decent match. I liked it, and it's good to see Aleister Black. I'm kind of excited to see what they do with him, and it was a good performance from Andrade Cien Almas as well. So, I mean, it was good all round, really.
Yeah, definitely.
We then go into the 3. How can I put this? Because they were unveiling all the new titles tonight as well.
Yeah.
And the first of the title matches was for the NXT tag titles. And this one we might talk about for a little more than the others, even though I'm just going to say this straight up, all these 3 following matches were good. Or at least in my opinion.
Oh my god, they're progressively amazing.
Yeah, and it's just starting from here, they get better and better. We have the Revival versus DIY versus the Authors of Pain. Now, this one will have us talking for a little bit because there's some things that I wasn't happy with this match. Because at the start of the match, we can see that all 4 of the Revival and DIY, they form an alliance and they go after the Authors of Pain, each of the tag teams, they go after one member of the Authors of Pain. Specifically, the DIY then set up the table, and the Revival and DIY then proceed to fight each other after. Okay, this is where
they knock the Authors of Pain out of the ring, and then it's just DIY and the other guys there.
Yeah, and it's just like.
And it's like, okay, I guess we're fighting each other now because that's the plan.
And it's just annoying because, from a story perspective, yes, I can understand these 2 tag teams, DIY and the Revival, have crossed each other's paths in NXT before, but it's just the Authors of Pain are clearly the biggest threat here. Why not both go for them first? But no, it's just we're gonna go for each other and let the authors of pain.
My reasoning is that maybe they thought they had already dealt with them, but
I mean,
like if they're such a big threat, why would you think that?
yeah, and it's just like, yeah, okay, we'll just leave the current reigning tag champs. We'll just let them
We'll
recuperate.
just let them rest for a while while we wear each other out.
So it was like a very awkward story match in that kind of sense. But I mean, like, there was a whole bunch of cool things that did happen here, like the authors of painting using Gargano as a meat shield, and like just
and just like throwing him at people like a projectile. It's great.
and like putting him in this torture rack for like a long time. It was like there was like a whole bunch of stuff that was cool. Like I think like Tommaso Ciampa, he even got in there and he like suplexed a member of the Authors of Pain too, and it was just like, oh man, we're getting all these cool kind of suplexes tonight. We're actually getting wrestling matches.
They're not spaghetti suplexes like Brock Lesnar does.
And then like the DIY, they did come together again with the Revival, and they're just like, okay, we're gonna try and work together. And Akam got Dash's reverse figure 4 lock on him, and then Gargano, he went in and did like the submission on the top half of him. So they did work together right at the end, but it was like it was too late because like Akam came in and saved Reza, breaking the submission up, and we did get a lot of "this is awesome" and "holy shit" chants, and it's like, guys, I'll accept them later on, but like just because there's a double submission, you want to chant that kind of stuff? No.
Oh man, a double rest hold, fucking amazing.
Exactly. We get like the AOP coming back into the ring, and they pinned Ciampa for the DIY to be eliminated first. There were DIY chants constantly after that, and the Authors of Pain hit the Revival with double power bombs, and then finally, a little bit later, hit them with the Super Collider to pin and retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. Jesse, what did you think of the match?
I'm very impressed with Authors of Pain.
Well, the Authors of Pain not only are great as like a heel team, but they're constantly getting better. I noticed as well in terms of like their moves and the crispness. It's like the crispness of the moves that they put off. It really adds this pain and this emphasis to it, and it makes it look like, oh shit, that really hurt. It's like, oh man, like there's some moves that they do and it's like, oh that looks strong, that looks powerful, and it's like that.
Also, the manager isn't overused because like you trust them to actually get the job done.
Yeah, I think there was only one time in the entire match, which is like when DIY and the Revival were, they were thinking about working together, and they were just gonna, continue to try and get out the Authors of Pain. And then we get Paul Ellering, the manager of the Authors of Pain, and he's just like, you two should fight each other, you hate each other. And he said some words to convince them that, maybe they should continue to fight. And the announcers, they saw that and they announced it as so. So it's like they can still say, hey, he's a manager, he's able to provoke and everything, but he's not getting in the way, and he's not the main focus of the tag team, which is good.
Not Mr. Fuji.
Yeah. So our next match, and getting through these really quickly, we got Ember Moon versus Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, on any other pay-per-view, this would probably be the match of the night.
Any future pay-per-view.
Yeah, this would be like the match of the night, because this was great. There was like so much stuff in this match that I was like, wow.
First time I see Ember Moon already, like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. Anyone that can keep up with Asuka that well as fucking even outshine her in some parts. Like,
definitely. Like the lockup at the start, they were like very evenly matched, and I was like, okay, so since one of the criticisms that Asuka made of Ember Moon in the promos leading up to this was just like, Ember who? Does she even work here? It seemed like they're like, okay, well, we're gonna see if Asuka's cockiness as like she's the longest reigning champion, full stop. Not just women's champion, but she's the longest reigning NXT champion, full stop. No one in the men's or the tag teams has held their belts longer. So like, she's got this chip on her shoulder now, and I think that's the way that they're gonna start taking her story. So like Asuka did a butt bump. She
Yes, strongest move in wrestling.
she kept pushing Ember Moon to the ground with her foot, just like pushing her down like in a demeaning way. Like every time she'd just be about to get up, just push her head down. And once she finally did make her way up, she gave this really strong forearm to Asuka. And this match was like, there's a lot of things in this match that I'd love to go over, but it's just like, I think that one of the things that I should really talk about is the fact that the crowd was way more into this women's championship match than any other that I've seen on a like modern WWE pay-per-view. And I'm just like, clearly these two are doing something right that the modern roster isn't doing. And I think
they're actually fucking wrestling.
And that just might be it, because it's like, with the exception of a few people on the main roster, if you were to say, okay, who in the main roster could be in this match, I would like struggle for a long time. Like, my favorite is Charlotte, and even then, she would be okay in this match, but I don't think she'd be the same
Charlotte
caliber.
wrestles slowly and methodically. That doesn't work with the kind of wrestling they're doing.
Yeah, and so it's just like, I really don't know how I would respond. NXT's women division just seems to be the superior division of all of them.
Top shelf.
It's top shelf. So Ember Moon climbs to the top turnbuckle and does a splash on Asuka outside the ring. Asuka made her way back into the ring and was able to regain her momentum with kicks. And then after the kick, she went into her submission, which Ember Moon did escape from, and then tried to kick Asuka, but she was too tired to capitalize. And this match did go for a while, and it's good like that these moves continue. To be fair, when I say a while, it's not going to be as long as the tag team match or the final match on the card, but it felt like a good, decent amount of time, as well as continuously being exciting and fast-paced.
There wasn't like a slowdown ever.
Exactly. And so even though both women were selling that they were extremely tired, they were able to, continue going blow for blow with each other. Although, we see that the match sort of becomes dire for Asuka.
Yeah.
So, when Ember Moon is climbing the top rope, Asuka quickly pushes the referee into the rope, causing Ember to fall. And she quickly kicked her and went for the pin immediately, which caused
Did you
Asuka...
see the commentator as he does it? Oh, maybe that was that's like an accident just then. Asuka accidentally pushed, like, no, she fucking did.
Yeah.
It wasn't a fucking accident.
So Asuka retained and gets the new women's championship, which I think looks really good, the championship. And I think all of the championships displayed this evening look really good. But yeah, what a really cool match. I've got the time written down as just over 12 minutes. I don't know what it is officially. So, it seemed really well paced and really fun. And if I could see more women's wrestling like this, I really think that Asuka and Ember Moon, in this case, they gave the rest of the entire show, they made the main event have to try and work to one-up them. And in the case of, I could name almost every single person on the main roster, and I could be like, yeah, well, Asuka and Ember Moon did a better match than that. So, I mean, really, really good work. If you only want to check out a couple of matches, I would check out this one, and if you've got a bit of time, I would check out the main event, which was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bobby Roode. Now, I'm going to break the kayfabe for the people at home, in the fact that I try to write down a couple of notes when I do this. I write down a couple of notes, and I'm like, okay, every time I see something that's particularly interesting, I'll write it down, or I'll try and write down enough just to sort of make a little picture for those at home who are listening to this, and they can follow along. Yeah, I try to paint a picture with words that are better than Corey Graves could ever be. So
it's not hard.
Yeah, it's not very hard, and that's why I can do it. So, I mean, we get to this match, and I have seen this match before. Jesse has seen this match before, and so I was like, how are they gonna go about making this an interesting match? Because Bobby Roode will be retaining his title now, and Shinsuke has to go up against him. And it was really great. It was fucking amazing.
It was pretty good.
Like, would you believe me, Jesse, that this clocked in just under 30 minutes? It was 28 minutes.
Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. And it did not feel like that, because from the loudness and the roar of the crowd for each of them, we were getting Nakamura chants and Bobby chants and let's go Bobby, Nakamura. Oh man, this is how wrestling matches should be. The crowd should be 110% into it, and you should have two characters in the ring that can still put on a match. And not only put on a match in this case, but tear the fucking house down. Because this singles match for the NXT Championship, I think, so knowing what will go on in the future, and for people that might not be realizing,
time traveler.
I'm a time traveler, and I might.
He actually was Nostradamus.
I'm Nostradamus, and I'm predicting that maybe Shinsuke will be heading to a brand in the future.
That's a bold statement.
It is a bold statement.
I don't know if I can get behind that one. I don't know.
It
seems a bit far-fetched to me.
I'm seeing John Cena and Nikki Bella in the ring.
That's just as far-fetched as having some Hall of Famer come back and be the new manager of Raw.
Well, we can only see. Only time will tell. But this match, I did not write down any notes because the entire match, I was mesmerized. I was watching this, and from start to finish, I was just like, wow, this is something that could go on in the Monday Night Wars or in the Attitude Era in the 90s. If this was on TV, it would not be out of place, and some matches it would supersede. If you have the time, because only now do I realize the time limit, I would watch this match, and especially knowing that this is, for NXT at least, this is probably going to be the last time that you see Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Watch this send-off match, see the reaction of the crowd, and I'm going to break it to you guys now. Bobby Roode does retain his title and does defeat Shinsuke Nakamura. The psychology was all there. The selling of the knee was all throughout the match, and it was constantly what Bobby Roode would go after. Bobby Roode being very methodical.
Every single bump was like superb.
And it's just like, I don't know what to tell anyone else. That this is like, people use the term 5-star match, and I'm pretty sure that I don't really apply that kind of logic to matches. I'm just kind of the guy that says, hey, is this good? Is this bad? Or is this just, it's just a filler match? A filler match, this was not. Bad match, this was most certainly not. And this match was so good that, being Nostradamus, I might even say that compared to Wrestlemania, which is happening tomorrow, I don't particularly foresee this being beaten by anything on that card. And
no, I can't think of anything that could possibly.
And that is great in terms of the fact that WWE did make this match happen, and that's bad in the fact that WrestleMania was tomorrow and this match didn't occur at WrestleMania. Because can you imagine if 70,000+ people erupted in this
God.
like arena in the same style, and we got the elaborate entrances for Bobby Roode and Shinsuke? But
maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Maybe next year.
I think that the NXT takeovers are great to watch, because even though we get a couple of matches like Sanity and Aleister Black's debut, which wasn't bad, it was just like, yeah, that was a match. We get great matches like the great tag team matches, which shows people how tag team matches should go. We get great women's championships, which like Asuka and Ember Moon, which show the roster how women's matches should go. And then we get a main event which shows everybody, hey, if you want to end a show like a wrestling show, this is what you do. I don't have much more to really say about this. I'll let you add a couple of words, and perhaps I'll sit over here and try to stop gushing for a moment or two, Jesse.
Just gushing from your pants. Well, Bobby Roode is fucking amazing, and Shinsuke should be moving on to more beautiful things. As soon as Shinsuke didn't win, I was like, well, there's only one reason why that man didn't win. He has to go on and he has to save the world. He has to save the universe. Yeah, WWE universe.
Hopefully heading on to more phenomenal things.
Yeah, I see. Fucking last year, if Shinsuke Nakamura went to WWE, I'd be upset because it's like, well, who could he possibly fight that could make a good match? But now there's enough people there that like, hey,
he could have his
future's looking bright.
Yeah.
I mean, once WWE stole all the talents that like they did back in the golden era, back on track.
And I'll take you from Japan, and I'll take you from TNA, and you can come from Ring of Honor, and you can come from Mexico. But they're really adding to this wealth of talent that they have, and it's just like this wellspring of talent is really doing good stuff, and it.
Like,
at least
even if you hate WWE, you have to watch it just because of all the shit they have.
Yeah, and it's just like you may be one of those people that says that WWE is complete trash, and you know what? That can be your opinion. If you turn on a television and you see John Cena every day, I can empathize. Trust me, we can both be there.
The Miz has been the most likable John Cena has been in fucking years.
Exactly. I will say, however, that to completely dismiss WWE is doing yourself a disservice, because while most of their homegrown talent isn't exactly the greatest, the talent that has fallen underneath the WWE umbrella, however, is varied enough and skilled enough that you can generally look forward to a couple of matches and being like, man.
Don't watch everything.
Yeah.
Just keep an eye on the news and see what matches the stars you like are in, and just watch those and ignore the rest of the garbage out there because there's a lot.
Because all those years ago, when we were talking about Bobby Roode and TNA, and Maka and I were talking about Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rainmaker. And all that time ago, when they were in these different companies, who would have thought that they would both be in WWE having an amazing match? And that's just it. Like, there is potential in the future for Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles, or Shinsuke Nakamura. Even if we wanted to do something more WWE caliber, we could put him in a match with Randy Orton. And
that would be interesting. It wouldn't be a bad match.
Yeah, and it's like... And then we've got, like, other people who Shinsuke could elevate as well. Like, we could put him in a match with Dean Ambrose. Or we could put him in a match...
I suppose he's unstable. Let's see how he fights an actual man that's unstable.
And we could put him in a match with Baron Corbin and see if he could finally be able to keep up with someone of that style. And if he won, what an amazing heel that would make him if Shinsuke had just come out of NXT.
I can think of only one other person that would be a bigger heel for beating someone.
Man, yeah, if there was someone that could, like, do something to, maybe, like, if there was someone that everybody respected and liked, and then...
Yeah, and he could just, like, shit all over them and retire them permanently.
Yeah, I mean...
Enough about Seth Rollins, though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we don't know the future, so we don't know what kind of person or what it would take to make that. Yeah, I mean, I could probably assume.
Pull out those old goat bones and roll them and see what happens,
but we don't know what kind of undertaking that would require. So we're going to.
What kind of necromancy would be at play?
What we'd need to do in order to make this truth reign. But
Enthusiasm is.
But that was
Bit
this
less
this short review on NXT TakeOver Orlando. You should know by now, most of the NXT TakeOvers are worked, like, even if you don't watch the show themselves. Yeah, just come on into the NXT TakeOver and be like, cool, I'm going to spend the next 2.5 hours watching wrestling. And it'll
just
be...
watch the last 3 matches even, just fucking...
Yeah, just look down the roster and be like, okay, where are the belt matches? And then, unlike the main roster, like when you're watching on the main roster, you'll be like, oh, cool, these actually feel like a higher caliber than the other matches.
Champion.
Yeah. And you get the crowd participating and hating the heels. You get them cheering for the faces. It's
like, watch the mid card of the main roster and watch the fucking the main roster of the fucking NXT.
So that was NXT TakeOver Orlando. Thank you guys for listening. Very short one, and definitely watch Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Clarify, Bobby Roode.
If only, man, that would be crazy, wouldn't it? If there was like Bobby Roode on a main roster, and like for some reason, I don't know why.
And for some reason, someone just had a real grudge against him that was like dictating all of his fights.
And then told him to constantly get out there and.
And then at one point, he got sick of it and just challenged him for Wrestlemania.
Yeah, like if Bobby Roode just started running roughshod over the whole show, and then no one could stop him, but then whoever was in charge, this Raw general manager was just like, you know what?
It'd be an Olympic feat to stop Bobby Roode at that point.
I think it would. They definitely need to approach it from a new angle. But who knows? That's just future speculation, after all.